Hello everyone, and the warmest welcome back. This is Comparator Craft SMP episode 5, and today we are going to start doing some stuff around our base, and that means focusing on our main build. As you can see here, we've been working really hard to get this looking better. It really was sort of a mess. Our villagers were a mess. Everything was a mess. And so now I think it has this great natural look with the glowberries. Villagers are doing their breeding thing. That's fine. And, yep. So I put in this minecart track to make it real simple to go up and down this stairs because it was awful. And I wanted to make it so that if visitors wanted to come and use the villagers, they could just hop into a cart and go down the track. Okay, but let's check in on our main build here. And what I'm going to do is set the concrete. I want to get a good look at what it looks like with all these cured blocks, not powder. Because the powder does make it look a little bit strange. Although I am thinking that I might want to knock out some blocks, particularly near the base, and actually leave those as concrete powder so it has a different texture. Uh, that being the case, we need a lot more concrete. So we need to go harvest some sand, which is one of the parts of concrete, and I am trying my best to not wreck up the beaches and make it so that if somebody wanted to come here and have a beach, house or base, that they could and it wouldn't look terrible. And yes, I did figure out a little later, once you're getting some gravel, that we can get most of these resources from the bottom of a water source, and it's not going to disturb anyone. So that's what we're doing here, is we're getting one of the other parts of concrete, which is gravel, and I want to make sure that we get a lot. I don't want to have to go harvest again, so we're going to get a lot. Shulkers worth, maybe 4 or 5 of each. And of course, we're going to need white dye to make sure that it's white concrete, but that's no big deal. Some friends have been helping me out with gathering some bones. Thank you, Starlord, and thank you, Styx. I really appreciate you helping me with this build. And here we are. We are going to be setting some concrete because part of the build that we're going to need to do is going to need to be suspended in air, which means that we can't use powder because it's a gravity block and it'll just fall down. And yes, this is sort of one of the more tedious things of doing concrete, but I feel like I get by most of that by using the powder and just setting it in stacks like a wall or a floor that is flat. Not so great if you want to make an archway or a suspended floor or something of that variety, because, yeah, that's not going to work out too well. I mean, unless you stack it. So let's go ahead and start working on the floor. We need to see how high it needs to be to support the riser in the front there. And so that when you come in, it doesn't seem um, too high off of where the ground should be, in other words. But we need it to be a little bit high because of the last riser in front of the main building. And I think so far that's looking just fine. And, we will eventually fill this in. But for now, I want to start working on the structure of the front of the castle, which has sort of an odd shape with part of a recessed roof and part of a projecting roof. And I am doing this with the concrete powder, as I said, because it's so easy to just lay it down. If you don't like it, a shovel takes care of it so quickly, and if you do, you just leave it there and set it. So far, I'm thinking it looks great. I do know that we are going to have to raise our towers to make room for the roof line on the main castle and also the roofs on the towers. Speaking of roofs, I decided that I was going to go ahead and work with warped wart blocks. I like the texture, I like the color. It does go along with the build, but it is super tedious to harvest. So that's what we're going to do here. we are going to put down some mycelium, plant those worts, and we are going to bone meal them up. Now, yes, we could end up using the stems for things like stairs and slabs to add details to places, but I'm not sure quite how it's going to look, so for now I'm just going to focus on the wart blocks themselves. And because this is so tedious, I ended up needing to get some extra mycelium and warped worts themselves because planting them made the mycelium turn back into netherrack, which won't grow any more of the warped wort. So we gotta harvest a bunch, and I figure while we're here, we might as well just get a lot. And so that's what we're gonna do. And thankfully, we can just grab enough so that we don't end up having to come back, because that is a really big pain in the rear end. And I don't want to have to pause my build to come back here and grab some more mycelium or, whatever. So we are back from our trip, and here we are standing in front of our archway, and I have begun to put on some details. And as you can see, I have put on the roof. Yes, I like it. I think the color is great. I am working on that guard shack over there. I'm not sure how much I like it. It might change. But for now, I'm thinking it looks great, and we need to go ahead and detail some of this. So I started with detailing the archway, and I think that looks really nice. And what I wanted to do was to add structures to the main roof so it didn't look like the main roof was sort of suspended over nothing. Like it had something like underneath it to support it, so it didn't look like it would just fall off. And I'm using quartz blocks, quartz stairs, and quartz slabs for these details because I think the quartz goes really well with the concrete. Now, the concrete is a little bit of a cooler color, but I don't think I really mind the differences between, the two. And at night, you can't tell at all. So we are going to fly up onto the roof here where we have made sure that everything is lining up. We have made sure that everything is the same height and width and all that good stuff so that it's all symmetrical. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and copy the details from the front of the building here on the back of the building. Now it does look slightly different like in real life, but there's no way for me to copy how it looks in real life in Minecraft, but I'm doing my best. And then we're going to work on the details on the side and make sure that we like them because, I get the details up there and sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know if I really like that or not. But guess what? We ran out of scaffold. Yes, we did. It kept falling off. It was bad, so we need to make some scaffold right now. So we're going to harvest a bunch of bamboo and we're going to get some string and make stacks of scaffold. Here we go, and plenty of bamboo there, and let's go make some scaffold. All right, now that's plenty. Okay, a little later on, I wanted to see how this looked at nighttime with some of the lights that I've added, and I really like it. It makes it look soft and, didn't mean to crash there, sorry. And we're gonna, fall off a cliff. Anyway, here is the front of the build, and I think it looks really nice. I've mostly been concentrating on the main castle build itself. But I kind of got stuck, so I thought let's go inside and work on the inner portions of the castle and mostly the chaos of roof that is happening up there because I don't like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to even things out. We're going to make things look symmetrical. And I'm trying to figure out a way so that I can have this section over here be somewhat hidden, I guess, because where the tower is and where the roof edge is, if I change the blocks one way or the other, either the roof will look messed up or the interior will look messed up. So what I decided to do was just create a very small portion of flat ceiling in here to sort of like hide the differences in level, and that way it wouldn't stand out so bad. So after really looking at things, I decided I really wasn't super happy with the build palette itself. And I had a few suggestions from some players, and I actually really liked the suggestions. So one of the suggestions is to do um, some prismarine to have some gradients in the roof. And I like that idea, but that's going to mean like setting up a farm and doing all that kind of stuff, which is, it's going to be difficult. I don't mind doing it. I think it's going to be for the best anyway, so that's what we have to do for our gradient. And the other thing is I really wasn't liking how primary red the archway is. It looks too red. It does not look that way in real life. In real life, it looks distressed and weathered and worn down. The paint is not fresh. Like, you didn't just paint this thing. So I thought the perfect thing to do would be to grab terracotta because it comes in great red colors. Even just like the standard um, terracotta is a very pretty red color. And I figured it would make a really nice gradient for this archway. And of course, we'll be adding in extra details like footing around the base of this archway, and then extra details to make it look less flat. But so far, I'm really liking how these blocks are changing the overall look of this red concrete area. And I do plan on extending some of these details because I think the color needs to be broken up a little bit more. I think it needs to look more like it's been sitting here for 100 years and, maybe getting painted once every 50 years. So there we have added our extra colors in the concrete, and we're working on the edges. And the edges are adding in sort of like a more depth feel for me anyway. And I think that that looks really, really nice. And so we're just going to go ahead and clean up a couple of these little details that didn't go in quite right. But yeah, I think that looks great. And with details on the actual towers themselves, I think it's going to be perfect. And on the inside here, one detail I thought that it needed was to look more sort of like broken up. It was too flat. And so what I decided to do was to not have it be flat red, but to add in some of that terracotta here as well. I think this was a really good change. I really like the difference, not only in the texture, but the color. So that in this way, this inside of this archway, which is going to have, it's going to have had like horses and carriages and, knights and things coming through. It's going to be sort of a little bit drab and maybe a little bit muddy or, just worn. And so I think that really helps um, lead to that feeling of it really being, used over hundreds of years and not just like pristine. Um, so yeah, I really think that this terracotta was a really good idea. Now, moving back into sort of this courtyard area, I got sick of how like sort of junky it was looking, and I had Bedrock visit me, and he was like, "You have way too many chickens around here," and I'm like, "Yeah, way too many chickens. I got plenty of eggs. I got plenty of things like that. Let's clean it up and make this courtyard look like it's supposed to look." So we're going to take down all the fences. We're going to free all the animals. We can always get more. And we are going to go ahead and take up the gravel, take up the stone and the wood, and we're going to place down grass and our concrete walls to match the other side of the castle. So, so yeah, it's funny with the cows running around. Sorry, I got distracted. Um, yep, so here we're going to knock down this portion of wall and add in that concrete powder. It is not the same shape as the other side. It is just a flat wall on this side, but it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, guys, I'm super psyched with how this is coming out. I am sorry though. I had planned on having more of this build completed, but with the change in my palette and with wanting to add sort of like a more realistic gradient, I ended up having to harvest a lot of things that I didn't think I was going to need, so we're a little behind. I hope you will forgive me as we're taking a look here in a flyby, but I really want to make it great. And so I hope you guys will be behind me on that. And so we're just going to take a look from the other side here, spotting some of those details. And as we turn around, you can see, I just think that looks great. We put in the holes for some of the windows. The roofing looks nice. The main tower roof, I don't know. Not sure how I'm feeling about that. And I have been working super hard to learn how to do the replay mod. I spent 6 hours on it today and failed completely. I was hoping to add some montage footage for you guys, but I just don't have it yet. I am working on it though. And as we come inside the main castle build here, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. And I really would love to see you guys have comments or anything, down in comments. I like to read them. I like to have you guys participate. It just, I don't know, it makes my day. So if you have enjoyed this video, would you please like and subscribe? It would mean the world to me. It really would. And I would definitely appreciate it. I've had so much fun doing this and trying to learn all of these things on replay. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And I will see you in the next one.